So here we go. So my name is Losfeld RL. I made a big video on directional arrow that's called the thesis. People call it the Losfeld method, I guess. And I teach directional arrow, and I'm fascinated by this mechanic slash technique. And I get comments all the time of people thanking me for the video. They thought it was great, and I thank them. And then they say, I also think that this guy's video was pretty good too. And so I check the video, and every time, 100% of the times, I realize that the other video they're talking about is shit. And the only reason people think that some kinds of videos are good is because they don't know enough. If they knew more, if they had more knowledge and more practice, they would realize that those other videos are usually as bad as the tutorials that we all know are bad. Actually going to do a video called The 3 Kinds of Tutorials, in which I debunk the 3 categories of tutorials that exist out there. The one we're going to watch right now is part of the 3rd category of tutorials, which is the most cunning one, and it's as bad as the rest of them. It's just that it doesn't seem bad because the guy says something that could be considered interesting. It's just that when you have more knowledge, you realize that it's either poorly explained or the guy has no sense of analysis or no teaching skills, because teaching requires skills, right? So we're gonna watch this video. I don't mean to call anyone out. I'm not here to start a drama. I'm too old for that shit. But I am, however, sick and tired of people making tutorials just because they think they want to do one. If you want to make a tutorial, you better know what the fuck you're talking about. Okay? Which is not the case in any Rocket League tutorial that's out there. So I'm tired of that. So this guy, should I even show the name? No, you can just look at the title and figure it out for yourself. So let's watch this video together. It's 7 minutes long, and I'm going to pause every time I have something to say, right? All I can say, even before we start, is that 7 minutes to, like, the name is of the video, the title is How to Become Really Good at Directional Arrow Quickly and Efficiently. Okay, so again, that's a very, that's already a clickbait title. Let's see what he has to say. Let's see if the video content answers the clickbait title. Okay, there we go.
Hi everyone. So I want to start off by saying that I'm not a content creator. I don't make videos. There's gonna be not anything impressive, high quality video. Just me showing you some stuff and talking and explaining some stuff to you. What I really wanted to cover is how to get really good, really fast at directional arrowing.
Okay. I mean, in order to learn something fast, the one thing you need to have is self-awareness. Okay? Or you need to have a method. Obviously. Just throwing that out there.
Because I don't see anyone really describing it the way I learned it, which was really efficient. I see a lot of people learning this skill very inefficiently, and it's taking them. It's kind of sad seeing comments on Reddit or on YouTube of people saying that they've been practicing for months consistently and they're barely seeing any improvement.
Yeah. So to that, I would say, like, there are difficult things in life that deserve time to be good at them. That's the point of, learning things. Not everything has to be easy. And on top of that, if people work badly, especially if they have no knowledge what they're doing and no theory, obviously they're never going to understand what's happening. I once had a guy who could arrow very well. He had learned by himself, like we all did before. And he wanted me to do an arrow analysis. And I saw in the analysis that that he was making the wrong inputs a few times, and this is why he crashed. Had he known that this input at this time of the revolution does that, he would not have crashed. So brute forcing is not a method. Being self-taught is not a method. And it only relies on empiricism. And what's going to change is that if you have good self-awareness, then you're going to brute force and learn fast. If you have bad self-awareness, you're going to brute force and learn in a very long time. So that's not a method, and it's not the right way to learn anything in life. If you get 2 people who play the violin, one has followed a teacher and one has been self-taught, the one who has had lessons with the violin teacher will always be better than the other one, whether it's musically or technically. Okay? Okay. It's like you don't go to school and the teacher says, well, I'm not going to teach you, just figure it out by yourself. Okay, that doesn't exist. But for some reason on Rocket League and on other video games, people just say that whenever they don't know what to do and how it works. It's like, basically, if you have critical thinking, you understand that they're just telling you to figure it out by yourself. Okay.
So first, let me demonstrate to you the skill I have with directional arrow rolling. So I'm going to try to fully boost pretty much through the first 5 levels here. And I can...
Watch his joystick, first of all.
The skill I have with directional arrow rolling. So I'm going to try to...
Okay,
boost
so see what he's doing right now?
first 5 levels.
That's what I call reverse clocks. And as you can see, directional air roll, this is another misconception that's pissing me off. Directional air roll is not about small adjustments. Most of the time, it's about continuous adjustments, continuous inputs that give you one specific result. What he does here is what I call reverse clocks. Obviously, I didn't create them. I just created the terminology for it. And reverse clock is how you're going to end up flying a lot, because this is what gives you the most movement from the car, right? You can also see that here at the end at the end here, he does a little. He stays like upright, for instance. So he's doing small adjustments here.
Skill I have with directional
But look
arrow.
here,
So I'm gonna
reverse
try to
clock, reverse
boost
clock,
pretty much through the first 5
upright,
levels here.
right?
And I can,
And reverse clock again.
I can, earlier this morning I've had my...
Let me watch that again.
through the first 5 levels here. And I can, I can...
Okay, I would call that a feedback loop, by the way. I think here he might be doing. Let's actually see.
can,
That's 1 clock. So he started doing a double reverse clock, but he only did 1 rotation, and then he kept the input there. So he's going to go straight on the first half of the revolution with a double clock, and then he's going to go straight again on the end of the revolution, the second revolution, because he's keeping the input there, and he also already has a straightforward vector.
I can, earlier this morning I've had my best run of rings. I've finished the whole thing in about just over 10 minutes while constantly air rolling. So I just want to demonstrate my skill here and explain how I got to this point.
Okay, that was a, see that quarter reverse clock here to go left? Right there, you ready?
Explain how I got
Boop. See, he's going slowly,
to this
so he's going left. He went down right.
point. Because, to be quite honest, I learned this very fast relative to how long it takes other people to learn. And it's not
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that what he's doing is going to make you learn fast. He learned it fast because, maybe he's younger and maybe he has a good self-awareness, right? But not everybody is like that. Well, the issue I have here is that he's kind of promising you that what he's going to say is going to make you learn quickly, right?
it's not because I have any special skill necessarily. It's just because
So just look at the amount of reverse clocks he does all the time, right? He could as easily do clocks in between when he's going straight. He chooses to do reverse clocks. That's fine.
I think the way I decided to approach it, and I decided to approach the skill in a way that I haven't seen anyone describe. I just on a whim decided, you know what, I'm gonna try to do this.
Yeah, so that's also what I thought when I did my method, my video, right? The problem is when people, like other people I'm thinking of, starts with a G, by the way. The problem is that when you just want to have a different opinion just for the sake of having a different opinion, right? That's a problem. So I don't like that. Because if you do that, you're going to tell people like some random shit just to sound different. But that random shit is either full of misinformation or it's a bad way to approach it, right? I also watched this video to learn air roll. I thought it was not that bad. Yeah, because you didn't know better. If you know more, you're going to realize what I'm saying in a few minutes, right? You're gonna understand what I'm saying in 3 minutes. So far, he's doing what I call reverse clocks, okay? Which is fine. That's how we all do it, right?
And I'll explain in a second what I did. And again, it's not anything crazy or anything really revolutionary. So what I see people, first of all, what I think is wrong or inefficient rather with trying to learn this skill is if you start going to YouTube learning how to directional air roll or go look up Reddit posts, a lot of people will tell you to start kind of like this. So I'll finish doing what I'm demonstrating. Well, they'll tell you to, okay, start rotating your car air rolling and then only adjust when you see your car facing forward, go this way,
Okay. I don't know what he's going to say about that, But if he's about to say that you shouldn't play with a neutral revolution, he's a bad teacher. And you have to understand that. As humans, we approach difficult things and we try to see patterns in order to learn them more easily, right? So the neutral revolution is the best thing that we could do because it's a constant. So we rely on the constant, on the neutral revolution, to do our inputs and to learn our muscle memory. Now, obviously, in theory, in a perfect world, if we were robots, the only thing we would need to learn would be to learn what each input does at every angle of the revolution of the car. But that means a shit ton of input. And you're going to have to learn what each input does at each angle of the revolution of the car and create muscle memory from it. This is going to be insanely hard. So, in order to approach it more easily, what we do is that we learn the neutral revolution consciously, then we master it, and what we do becomes subconscious, and then, and only then, we let empiricism, time and experience, teach us other inputs. I know more inputs than the neutral revolution. But I'm not aware of them when I do them. What I'm aware of is my neutral revolution. And on top of that, if you start thinking this way, you're going to start thinking that everything you do on the joystick, like every different input you're making on the joystick at different angles of the revolution, are supposed to have a different effect and not be linked to each other. And again, this is probably the biggest misconception there is about directional air roll. Most of the inputs we're doing are going to be continuous inputs that we start from the neutral revolution. So obviously, if I do a half reverse clock going down, right, up in left air roll, if I do it slowly, I'm going to turn left, right? But I'm not thinking of every input that I'm doing. I'm just thinking of the general pattern of those inputs, right? All right, so this is a problem that I have. I haven't even listened what he's saying, but the way he puts it, he doesn't agree with the neutral revolution. And this, to me, is a teaching mistake. Of course, in a perfect world, you would want to learn every input for every angle of the revolution because we cannot do that. We're not fucking robots. We need something we need a support, right? The support is going to be the constant of the neutral revolution.
Try to adjust one at a time, right? Something like that. Or they try to tell you something like, okay, if your car is facing forward, then you push your stick top right, you'll go this way.
Yeah.
If it's facing this way and you push your stick that way, you'll go that way.
Yeah, so he's describing what I call the first kind of tutorials that basically just go upright and down right every time the car is facing you, which I call the neutral revolution. So he's describing the shitty tutorials of the first kind of tutorials.
That way, it's trying to kind of memorize.
He's right about it. Those are shit, right?
Right, kind of a pattern. And honestly, that's not really a good way to learn the skill because this is
okay. So he told two things. One of them is a great thing, and the other thing is just like the first kind of tutorials is just rehashing like the same information. He said the neutral revolution is bad, and the upright down right is bad. I say the neutral revolution is the best thing that can happen to anyone learning it, and then obviously saying upright and down right is misinformation. It's lack of information. And it's just not how you fly in the end. Okay? Okay. So I disagree with the fact that he says two things that people say about air roll. One of them is something that's based on human instinct, which is the neutral revolution. It's our instinct to try to find an easy way to learn something hard. And the other one is a piece of misinformation that's been spread forever. And that's called the Brandolini law. I'm going to talk like 10 seconds about that. The Brandolini law states that it takes about 5 seconds to say something bullshit, but it takes minutes, if not hours, to explain why this thing is bullshit. Now understand this. There's been countless videos on directional air roll. Imagine the misinformation and the misconceptions that have been spread. So imagine the hard work that I have to put in to make people understand that there's so many misconceptions that they think are true that are not true. The biggest one to me is when people say directional air roll is about small adjustments. It's not about small adjustments. If you're saying that small adjustments means short inputs, short joystick inputs, then it's not true. Okay? So there's many misconceptions about Rocket League. I could not even name them all because there's many of them, but the problem is that they're deeply anchored to the community. Why? Because people with visibility or with legitimacy and credibility because of their ranks, because of their like their level of the game, have been saying. But just because someone is great at something doesn't mean that he can explain it well. And so when people like Squishy Muffins makes a video on air dribble and he says that in order to do an air dribble you only need to use the top part of the joystick, I kind of want to bash my fucking screen in, because this is such misinformation that it's actually insulting to anyone who wants to hear something important and relevant and true. Obviously, he can do an air dribble with only the up inputs because he's good enough at it. That doesn't mean that you should do that too. What you should do is train your car control, right? So there's tons of misconceptions out there that have been spread on like fire, and that really are rooted deeply into the community, right? And so what this guy is saying is kind of like that too, right? Because he's saying two things that have been spread on by the community, but just because he wants to sound different, he's saying that the first one, the neutral revolution, is bullshit, which it's not. It's extremely important. And then he says the up, right, and down, right. And I agree with that because it's just a shit tutorial. Obviously, you don't just go up, right, and down, right in order how to fly. What you mostly do is reverse clocks. Okay, so I don't agree with that.
This is a fluid skill where you're constantly moving, and
True.
you can go in any direction that you want based on how you pull your stick. So there's too many combinations.
True.
You're trying to logic through it.
There's not too many combinations. He just doesn't know what they are. It's funny, but look at it this way. This guy says there's too many combinations to learn, but at the same time, ever since the very beginning of the video, when he started flying, he's been using the reverse clocks. Like 90% of the time. Just rewatch the video for yourself. See how many times he goes with his joystick counterclockwise, as in left air roll. That's reverse clocks. So see how contradictory his statement is compared to what he actually does. To me, that means lack of self-awareness, right? Do you understand what I mean?
And try to memorize everything. So let me finish this.
So you don't need to memorize everything if you have a neutral revolution, because then there's a limited amount of things you can do. And from those limited amount of things you can do, you're going to learn them. They're going to become muscle memory. They're going to become subconscious. And then you're going to learn other things like without even noticing at non-neutral revolution angles. Okay?
Level. Real quick.
Look at his joystick. He's saying there's too many things to do, but he's doing the same thing.
Again, as you can see,
look at his joystick.
While continuously boosting. Obviously, when you apply the skill in game, you don't necessarily have to do it while it completely boosting.
By the way, sometimes he's doing double reverse clocks, right? So sometimes he's going straight when he's doing the clock motion, the reverse clock. That's because he's going fast enough so that it becomes what I call a double reverse clock, which is a feedback loop. So he doesn't even he would not even need to do the inputs. He would still go straight, but he chooses to keep doing circles, double reverse clocks. That's just to put out there so that all the people who say about my method that you should never do feedback loops can shut the hell up. Because I have reviewed people, again, it starts with the G. I've reviewed people who trash on my method. They don't understand shit about air roll or my method, but they still want to have an opinion on it. And they say that you should not do feedback loops and you should only make adjustments when it's necessary. But then when I review their own videos, they do feedback loops themselves. Okay, so you don't need to do a feedback loop in the sense that a feedback loop is going to make you go straight, which means it's as though you didn't touch a joystick. But we do them because we want to feel connected to the car. Okay? Like doing a feedback loop is adding another perception of your car. We have the visual perception because we can see the car on our screen, but we want like another perception of it through feeling in our fingers. That's why we do feedback loops. So they're necessary, like they're not necessary, but we still need to use them because we want to feel the car.
Boosting, but this demonstrates the
just look at the joystick
in your car by being able to do while fully boosting here. And you can't do every level fully boosting necessarily because some of them are harder than others. And
yeah, and you shouldn't do a rings map by going full boost. By the way, he's doing it because he's too good at it. Okay, he's good enough to do it. When you're learning, you don't want to go full boost. Don't listen to that scammer Spook Luke. Spook Luke is not a coach. He's not a content creator. He's a businessman. He doesn't give a fuck about you succeeding. Actually, I think he would prefer for you not to succeed so that you would think that you're the problem and not him, and so that you would watch his next video on the subject.
Have weird turns, but here's just want to demonstrate my skill with it, so at least add some credibility to what I'm saying. So the way I learned this, and let me go back to the beginning, is by going to this specific map here. Obviously, you could choose other rings maps if you want.
Zero hesitation to call Spooky out. No, I would not call this guy out because I don't want to, even though I could, because it would be legitimate of me. I don't want to call the other guy that I've mentioned twice with this letter. I don't want to call him out because I don't want no drama with nobody. Like, I'm a grown up. I don't want to make drama. I just want people to realize that they need to use their critical thinking, and that just because somebody says something about something you're interested in does not mean that they're saying something remotely relevant, true, or important, or correct. Right? The other guy that I mentioned chooses to have a different opinion just for the sake of not sounding like the first kind of tutorial that repeats up right, down, right at the neutral revolution. Right? But Spook Luke, no hesitation. I will take the beef with him every fucking day. I have been saying that this guy is a fraud for 4 years now. I've made 2 or 3 other videos on my page, which are not public anymore because there was a face cam on me, and that was before I would stream and use my anonymity. But I have I'm not scared of this big guy. He's not a big guy. He's a very small man.
And starting to air roll and moving my stick continuously. That's the important part.
Okay, I like that. In the sense that makes you curious. You're going to need to do more than just moving your stick, because it's like if I say, if you don't know how to swim, jump into the water and start moving your body and just figure it out and try not to drown.
So I'm going to do it with arrow right, since I'm not good with arrow right. So this is how...
Okay, listen what he's going to say now.
Look like it first. So look how I'm moving.
So, okay, he's being honest, right? He's saying, I'm going to do it with the arrow that I don't know how to fly with to show you how it's done. But then look at what he does.
My stick continuously, right? Look at the button.
Okay, look at his joystick. Look at his joystick. He's arrow right now. He's changed. Now he's using arrow right, but look at his joystick.
Bottom left of my screen. Continuously. So I'm not just holding arrow and let go my stick. Nope. I'm not just holding in one direction like a tornado spin direction and then only adjusting slightly. Nope. I'm constantly moving my stick, as you could see, constantly moving it.
Do you notice something?
And trying to get a sense of how to move with it. And this is going to seem impossible. Like, you're not going to make any progress. It's going to seem...
So obviously he's telling you basically, telling you to figure it out for yourself. He's not saying any kind of objective, precise, and detailed information about anything. He's just giving you an opportunity to try something out and then to figure it out for yourself. Clocking, exactly. One of you in the chat looking surprisingly clock-like. Yes. You know why you know that? Because you're both watching the joystick and you're thinking, wait, he's doing the same pattern of joystick but with the reverse arrow. So what does that do? So all this time he's been using the reverse clock in left arrow, which is fine because it makes you turn or go straight if you do it fast enough. But now he's using arrow right to prove a point, but he hasn't changed the pattern of the joystick. He's still doing arrow left reverse clock, so that makes it a clock in right arrow. And he is not aware of that, right? And this is what tells me that this guy, even though he may want to help, he doesn't have either the teaching skills or the knowledge. Like, he's basically telling you to figure it out for yourself anyway, which is not how I would consider, this is not what I would consider a tutorial. Anytime somebody tells you, greatest tutorial ever, and then he tells you to, like, you understand that he tells you to figure it out for yourself, like the G does, for instance, quit the video, downvote it and quit it. Right? So right now he's using right arrow, but he's doing the same pattern that he was doing in left arrow, which makes it a clock. So obviously he has no control over it unless he does it fast and is just going to go straight.
Really, really difficult. It's going to take hours to see slight improvement.
But you see how that means the little self-awareness that he has and the little sense of analysis that he has? You know what I mean? Because I cannot use air roll right. But because I have the theory behind me, because I have a bit of knowledge behind me to support me, I can still do a few, can still do a rings map with air roll right a little bit because I know what the inputs do because I have enough knowledge on it. Right? Does that make sense? Do you understand the problem here that I have with this tutorial? So I really dislike the fact that somebody said that this video and my video helped him, because in the end, what helps you? All he tells you how to do is to turn your joystick. And he would be right about that if he told you what the inputs does on the neutral revolution. If he just went a bit deeper into his analysis, this would have been the greatest tutorial at the time. But he doesn't. He tells you to randomly do circles and with your joystick. And when he changes air roll, he doesn't change the pattern, which means that he doesn't know about that. Otherwise, he would have told you, right? How come this guy tells you to go, how come this guy does reverse clocks all the time, but not once has he thought, hey, this is how I turn left. Hey, this is how I turn right. Oh, I do it with the hood facing me, you know? This is the kind of analysis that I did, right? So I don't like being compared to those people because we have nothing in common. I actually put hard work into my analysis and my method, right? Do you know what I mean?
The improvements start coming exponentially.
No, it doesn't, because if people who want to use right air roll do what you're doing right now, they're never going to learn anything because the clock is just going to make you go straight. You know? I don't understand how I was the first one to think, hey, what happens if I do one joystick motion circle at the same time of a revolution, right?
You start seeing them. Once your brain starts to understand how to do this,
yeah, but you cannot just say. Imagine learning anything in life and saying when your brain starts to understand it, oh, then you're going to be good at it. Okay, isn't that a bit self-explanatory? I don't need a tutorial to tell me what my brain is going to do naturally, do I? What I need from your tutorial is to tell me actual information that can help me learn it more efficiently and more easily, maybe, even though it's going to be hard to train. That's what I'm expecting for a video that's called how to be really good at directional air roll quickly and efficiently. Caps lock.
It's going to be exponential from there. How quickly you're going to grasp air rolling, and you can.
So he's not just doing any he's actually trying to go through the rings, but he's realizing that when he's doing his circle motions with the joystick, he's not going anywhere near the rings, right? He's realizing it.
Continue refining from there. So that's how I learned it. I just went in here, started doing this over and over again, and over the days I started seeing.
Imagine if he tried to learn air roll right and he did this with his joystick. I mean, it's really lucky that he used air roll left, and that he started doing joystick motions this way in a counterclockwise motion, which is what I call reverse clock, right? Because had he tried to learn air roll right and arbitrarily and randomly started doing those same inputs, he would not have learned anything.
Within 3 days, personally, I did 10 hours each day, so I put a lot of hours. So
don't play 10 hours each day. Don't play 10 hours each day.
30 hours, I'd say. I noticed that I'm really grasping air rolling and starting to have some control. And when you first start to do this, it's fine. You don't have to fully boost, okay? You can do it without fully boosting.
So what I say, let's see what he has to say about that.
And then, start having your boost. And
okay.
It might look like this at some point. I'm going to do it there left now. So you might look like this. Okay, now I have some control, right? But at some point, you want to try applying a lot of boost like this.
I don't agree with that. I say when you learn air roll, you want to start boosting whenever you're making an input so that you feel what the car does with boost on that input, because the boost is going to be what's important in the end. No boost, no flying, right? No flying, no air roll. But I say do it cleverly. The guy just says, when you're good, just go full boost. If you're not good enough, just hover and boost. It's not okay to hover and boost, because if you're doing a reverse clock without boosting, how are you learning what the reverse clock does? You can choose not to boost while doing a reverse clock once you know how to air roll in order to recover in the air, right? But when you're learning, you want to press, this is what I say, when you're learning, you want to start pressing boost every time that the car is neutral and that you're making an input, so that you understand what the car does with that input. Otherwise, you're not learning what the input is doing, right? So you're just wasting your time. Every time you're not boosting while doing an input on air roll when you're learning it, you're just wasting your time because you don't know what the input does. The input does when the boost is on, right? Like, this is what annoys me. This guy claims that with his little tip, you're going to be really good at air roll quickly and efficiently. He doesn't tell you what to do. He didn't even tell you to do circles, did he? He told you, I think, to just continuously move your joystick. He didn't even describe the fact that he's making circles. So he doesn't tell you really what to do and how to do it. He doesn't tell you why it does what it does. He doesn't tell you about the neutral revolution, which he himself is using, by the way. Okay? He trash talks other tutorials, basically. I mean, he doesn't trash talk, but he says he doesn't agree when he's doing the actual same thing. Now he's talking about the boost, and now he's telling people that he's learned it very quickly, like quicker than most people do, but he's played 30 hours in 3 days. Not everybody, like, he has to understand, he has to use empathy. Not everybody is like him, right? Not everybody's like that. I myself did not learn air roll in 30 hours, probably because I'm older. If you're like 40-something and you want to learn air roll, it's going to take you longer than a 15-year-old. Right? We know that from science, right? I think it was disproven, but I still believe in it, right? Which is not very scientifically objective of me, but who cares?
Try applying a lot of boost, maybe hovering less and less and less until you can really boost most of the time. So you should be able to do these rings.
No, you should be able to do those few rings at the start, would be more precise. Because when you're doing level 20 full boost, you're not going to do it.
Holding boost, say 90% of the time, maybe 85% of the time, right? That's how you know you have good control.
That's not how you know you have good control. You know you have good control when you have good control. You just know it. It's not when people say, when do I know that I'm good? Well, when you're good, you know, you're the one to prove that. You're the one who says, I'm good. Sometimes you think you're good and you could get better. That's what happened to me and many others. I thought, yeah, I know how to air roll. And then I pushed myself even more and I got even better, right? Until a certain cap, right? A certain ceiling, right?
How I'm constantly moving my stick, right? Look at the bottom left of my screen. I'm not just holding it in one direction.
Yeah. So it's funny that people would trash me in my feedback loops and then listen to this guy say that you should constantly move your joystick. That's, you know, but he doesn't tell you what he's doing. 90% of the time he's doing reverse clock. Sometimes he's holding the input left, like up or down mostly, right?
Constantly moving it. And now,
like this, right there, 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 and now back to reverse clock.
So
see the reverse clock? Opla, there we go.
Basically, you should
know what I mean?
be able to do this. You get to the point where you can slow it down, right? I can go to the right side.
Yeah, but why don't you tell people what you're doing? Why don't you make the conscious effort to analyze what you're doing and then tell people instead of just saying, hey, oh, I just have I have an abstract idea of how to do it and how I think it works, so I'm just going to share it to the world. That's what the G does, right? That's why I don't like his tutorials. And this guy's doing the same thing. He has like very abstract idea of what air roll is and how it works and what he does. And it's very abstract, but he still wants to share it. There is nothing more objective than directional air roll. People who don't know how the fuck it works are going to tell you differently because they don't know how the fuck it works. But there's nothing more objective than directional air roll.
I can go to the left side. I can keep it up straight.
Yeah, so why doesn't he tell us how to go left, how to go right? Oh, maybe he should think if I do it at a different rhythm, what happens? And then he understands that it's all about rhythm. He just said you can learn how to go backwards. Yeah, you can learn how to go backwards. But if you make just a little deeper research, you'll understand that if you do a reverse clock starting from down and you do it very quickly, you're going to go backwards because you're going to go vertical twice. One vertical, two vertical.
Control the flow, the speed. Everything.
So what annoys me is that he's making just a tiny effort to teach and to analyze, and then he decides to share that very abstract and tiny effort to the world while making a very clickbait title that's going to mislead people into thinking that if you just listen to what he has to say, it's going to definitely work. This is a lack of empathy. It's a lack of self-awareness. It's a lack of sense of analysis. And people listen and compare me to this guy. Like, what the fuck?
Everything, the movement, exactly where you want to go.
See, look at that, what he just did right there. Look at the joystick.
The flow, the speed, everything.
Now.
The movement, exactly where you want to go.
Boom, boom,
right?
boom. See those quick reverse clocks? That's what makes him go straight.
as you could see here. So, and again, I want to demonstrate that what I'm talking about it actually results in and you're actually able to learn this, right?
Yeah, but the problem is that people who watch this video, they're going to be smart, and they're going to look at his joystick, and they're going to think, oh, he's doing counterclockwise motions. They don't know where to start it on the joystick. They don't know where to start it on the car's revolution. They're just going to do it randomly. It's not going to help them at all to tell them to just move your joystick. Again, he doesn't even tell you to make circles. He just tells you to keep moving your joystick. But people who really want to learn, they're going to think, okay, he's turning it in like a counterclockwise motion, but they're not going to think about arrow left, right? So basically, people who learn thanks to this method, they chose arrow left, and they were really lucky to choose arrow left, because if you use arrow left, then if you watch his joystick, which he doesn't tell you to do, if you watch his joystick and notice that he's doing counterclockwise motion, yes, you might have the brain to understand by yourself that maybe this is what matters the most.
So stop trying to learn this by trying to do patterns, by looking at just trying to memorize, only looking at where the car is and trying to pull the stick in a certain to do a certain movement.
Oh my God.
Try to do it by constantly air rolling and constantly moving the stick until your brain starts to grasp it.
Yeah, but what does your brain grasp? Your brain grasps patterns. Oh my God, dude. I don't want to get upset right now. It's too late. I have neighbors. Do you understand what he just said? It's so contradictory. He just told you not to learn directional arrow through patterns, but that to let your brain understand it by just brute forcing it, which is not a method, by the way. But what does your brain learn? Your brain learns patterns. Do you understand? Like, this is so infuriating for me to be compared with this guy. Your brain learns patterns. Why do you think he's doing the reverse clock? Because it's a fucking pattern. And then he just tells you not to waste your time learning patterns. Motherfucker, that's literally how we do things in life. Do you understand why it's upsetting, right? Do you understand? Like, the amount of work that I put in compared to this guy is astounding. And he doesn't even know how to teach it. He just told you something so contradictory. Don't learn patterns. Let your brain learn the patterns. What are you talking about? See, you're gonna learn patterns in the end, you know? Like, what the fuck?
Get to this point. So, guys, again, just to summarize.
Okay, summarize.
Whatever rings map that you want, and try to constantly move your stick while you're constantly air rolling.
Okay, again, he says to constantly move your stick. What does that mean? Can I go left, right, left, right, left, right? Because what he's doing is that he's doing what I call reverse clocks, right? This is crazy. He doesn't even have the self-awareness to tell you that mostly what he does is to go counterclockwise with his joystick on left arrow. He doesn't even have you understand, the reasoning and the sense of analysis to do that. It's crazy, man. This is why you need critical thinking in your life. Otherwise, you're going to believe every fucking fake news ever. This is how you become a conspiracy theorist, by the way. When you suffer from confirmation bias and you lack critical thinking. This is how you become a sheep that spreads misinformation like, yeah, directional arrow is just about small adjustments. And you think you're saying something smart, but you're saying something very stupid and very incorrect, but you just sound smart because you're repeating something that's been spread on. It's so silly, dude.
And you can start off by not holding the boost and to get comfortable with it, but
what's going to happen if you don't hold the boost? Nothing.
I think that's the best and fastest way to learn this skill.
But so the best and fastest way to learn the skill, what he said, let's use critical thinking. The best and fastest way to learn directional arrow is to constantly move your joystick and play with your boost. Great tutorial, my friend. Thank you for the information. That must have been hard to analyze. I would not have understood that by myself. And that's called sarcasm.
As you can see here, I got really good at it pretty quickly by doing it this way. And I don't like I said, I don't really make content or YouTube videos.
Okay,
Really.
so
I'm just gonna make this one-time video. But for whatever reason, you guys want to see me do this whole map, or want to see anything else related to rolling, let me know. Again, I just felt like I wanted to make this video because I see a lot of people learning this in a very inefficient way. Sure.
no, so you don't know what inefficient. This guy does not know what inefficient is. He knows that some tutorials are shit. But what annoys me is that he thinks he said something to make you efficient. He said nothing. He didn't even tell you that he's doing counterclockwise motions, right? I just, dude, I'm out of words.
And eventually, they might get to this point, but spending so many months and seeing very little to mediocre progress, I don't think that's the best way to learn the skill. And I know different people.
I agree with that, but how about you do a better job than doing the same thing as the people that you're trash talking?
Learn at different paces, but I really think basically brute forcing your brain to learn how to air roll, just like I have done here.
Yeah, don't do that. It's like saying I'm going to go to college. I'm not going to listen to any teacher. I'm just going to brute force my learning. What does that mean? You know that in the like in ancient Greece, from ancient Greece to the 16th century, we used a method called the Loki method or the memory palace method in order to learn. So this method taught you how to learn by heart, right? It was discontinued because the 16th century was very Puritan, and the low-key method can, you can think of, nasty things or gore things or sexual things or whatever. So it was discontinued because of the Puritans. But we used to learn how to learn. Brute forcing is never something. It's something that happens naturally to everybody. But it's not something that you should want to do in your life to get better at something. Nobody has ever not watched a tutorial on how to do something. Even before we had the internet, we would go to our encyclopedias, maybe. Okay? Something who wants to start, melting things and making jewelry, he will learn maybe by himself, but he will probably want to have a few tips here and there on how to do that thing. Everybody says the brute forcing method. If it's called brute forcing, by definition, it's not a method. I'm tired of people comparing my method to other so-called methods. Nobody has done a method. A method is a reasoned system made with logical thinking that follows a systemic approach. It's a system. A method is not a tutorial, and a tutorial is not a method. Just because you make a tutorial doesn't mean it's a method. There's no Griffishless method. There's no the first axiom method. There's no spook-look method. Those things are not method. They are tips that are usually very bad tips. Okay? If one decides to teach something, one must understand what one is teaching. Of course. And everybody's making tutorials about air roll and other mechanics, but nobody knows how the fuck air roll works. It's crazy. It's crazy. I would never teach something that I'm not at least a bit good enough at and that I don't have enough knowledge about. But apparently I'm the only one because everybody else makes tutorials. Everybody else makes tutorials. They don't know shit about how it works. They have no teaching skills, but they still make videos. So now you tell me if they have a lot of ego or if they genuinely want to help people. I thought people like the G wanted to help people at first. I used to debunk his videos and say that they're really bad videos, but I would say that I have no hate against the guy because I feel like he wanted to teach us something. But the more I debunk his videos, the more I realize that he chooses to have an opinion more like he's more interested in having a different opinion than others rather than be interested in the objective truth of directional air roll. And so the more I think about it, the more I think it's ego-based. Losfeld method made me pull out the highlighters. That's a good thing. There's not much to highlight. There's a few things that you need to know. I just took a long time to say it because I wanted to be clear, and I wanted people to have clear visual representations of what they do, right? But there's not much, there's not a ton of things to know about air roll. There's a few important things, and then it's all about muscle memory and patterns. They want to make money. Yep. Yes, they do. I could make a DAR tutorial as a plat who has never used DAR before. Does that mean I should? No. But can I? Absolutely, yes. Again, this guy, he knows how to air roll, but he has no clue of how it works and what he's doing himself. The difference between me and that guy is that I spent 9 months analyzing that shit. But again, because of the Brandolini law, there's so many people that have misconceptions that have been spread for years that it's going to take me years to unspread and to destroy those misconceptions. The biggest misconception about Rocket League is what Rocket League is, right? It's not car soccer. And every time somebody says Rocket League is car soccer, they're killing the game a little bit, right? No, but you see why I didn't take it well when this guy commented on my video today. And he said, thank you for the video, and I appreciate it. It's such a good video. And then he said, I also think this video is really good, and it helps me a ton. Like, so I was like, I answered him, I'm going to make a video today debunking this video. Now, let's finish it up.
Literally, I feel like I have full control, pretty much. I wouldn't say I have 100% control, but I have immense control of how to move my car while doing rings.
For instance, just this right there. See what happened here? See what was going on here? Look.
Immense control of how to...
See that? He spends too much time on an input, so he starts making like a tornado spin.
Immense control of...
Right there. He should be going straight right there if he wanted to be clean, right? But he's spending too long on this input, so it makes a tornado spin.
While doing rings in whatever direction that I want. Slowing it down, speeding it up, again. So, hope you guys find this video helpful. Thanks.
Yeah, and I just got compared to him. Like, it's not about my ego. It's more like... it is about my ego, I guess. It's insulting to be compared to somebody who's done a really bad job just because the person who compared those things doesn't know more. He doesn't know enough yet, right? It's annoying, right? Imagine if you know a lot about something and somebody doesn't know shit about it and he says, oh my God, you're awesome. But this guy also is awesome. He says some really cool shit and you know more than the other guy. And you realize that the person who complimented you, like his compliment doesn't mean anything because he just compliments you because he doesn't know enough yet. It's kind of sad. But I told him, when you know more, when you're better, you'll realize how much this video is shit. So, yeah, I'm sorry to say, I don't mean to be mean, but this is a shit video. You know, just like 90%, maybe even 95% of the videos that I watch that people compare me with. I debunk them on stream. I've debunked Grifflicious' video, all of his directional error videos on my streams. And they're terrible. They are terrible. Even Grifflicious himself said that he would stop making directional error videos until he's better at it and until he knows how to explain it better. To this, I would say, then what did you do with the videos before? Did you just waste our time or, you know? In his first video and in his last video, he actually says... what I said before, you can forget it because now I can say differently. So what those people do, so this video right there, listen to me. This video that we just watched is part of the third kind of tutorials, what I call the third kind of tutorials, which is as shit as the two first ones, but it's more cunning. What happens is that they tell you things that you're going to think are interesting because you've never heard them before. So when you don't know anything about the subject, you're going to think, hey, he's saying something new, so he must be saying something important, right? It's natural for us to feel that way, but that doesn't mean that it's true. And when you use critical thinking, then you realize, what did he actually say? And this is what happens with the Grifflicious video. If you use critical thinking, the guy says, like, he makes 15-minute videos, but he doesn't say a lot of things in them, right? Like, okay, I made a 2.5-hour video, but from A to Z, everything that I say, like, comes from the latter point. And when we get to the actual method at the 40-minute mark, right, everything that I said before helps you understand the method more because I say that it's basically a skill game that requires muscle memory. You got to use critical thinking, otherwise you're never going to learn anything well. You're going to... So again, this guy is from the third kind of tutorial that's very cunning because what the third kind of tutorial does is that they talk for 15 minutes, like about 15 minutes about something, but they don't say anything remotely precise. they just sometimes they use like hard words and vocabulary so that you think that, hey, because it's smart, it must be true and important. But that's not true. Like if you listen to Grifflicious' video, you're not gonna, if you use critical thinking, you're not gonna learn anything. The guy literally says that you should learn every input, every joystick input for every angle of the revolution of the car. He's not wrong theoretically, but he should know that you can never learn that, and this is not how he learned it. And if that's the way he learned it, that's probably why he's not really good yet, even though he's been making directional air roll videos for at least a year. You need constant to help you learn something as difficult as DAR. And there's a reason people say, so okay, obviously when they say upright, downright, they're wrong about it. But then when they say do something when the hood is facing you, this is our instinct talking. Okay? It's our human instinct to do that. So we should follow that instinct because it's not there for no reason. And it's actually a very good reason for it to be there. It's because it makes it so much easier to learn directional air roll. So be careful of that kind of tutorial. That is the third kind of tutorial. I have no name for it. I just call it the third kind of tutorial. It's when people ramble for 15 minutes, and basically in 15 minutes, there's like 30 seconds that could be interesting, but even the 30 seconds that could be interesting is incorrect. And people fall for that a lot. And I'm tired of it. Okay, so that's it. That's it for this video. Please don't compare me to people like that ever again. I don't think I deserve that. You take care. I'm Losfeld. I teach directional air roll. You can come by a stream and ask your questions if you want. And take care and see you next time. Okay? Good. Goodbye in 3, 2, 1. Goodbye.